My dog's hanging out in the backyard and is been obsessed with this one squirrel, so he's been like barking all day. Hi everyone! So today I'm back with another sewing tutorial. First of all, I'm gonna just address my face. I tried oil cleansing and it didn't work. My skin is a little too sensitive. And also my hair is kind of icky because it's wet. I washed my hair last night, decided to fall asleep while it's wet. And it is now 11 at noon and I'm still trying to get it to dry because one rule I set myself is to never ever use any heat on my hair. But anyways, so today I'm gonna tell you how I managed to actually make the Jaquemus dress that Gigi Hadid wore in the Runway. I'm making this dress just to kind of celebrate my birthday because first of all, I'm broke. I can't afford actual Jaquemus, and two, I really want this dress and I thought I'd just make one for myself, like a birthday present for myself this year. So for the pattern, for today's video, I'm gonna do something a little different. If you watch some of my previous video, I would usually tell you how I make the pattern, how I draft the pattern, but I feel like it's a little hard to understand because I do babble a lot and sometimes things I said is just not what I have in mind and I ended up having the worst time in editing. So what I'm gonna do from this day on, I'm just gonna put a little drawing of the pattern that I make. So you could easily screenshot it or just pause the video while you're making the pattern. But I have to tell you that I do make the dress a little different than the actual Jaquemus dress because if you can see from the picture, the dress, the scrunch up side is sewn into the zipper or the seam, and I feel like I wouldn't wear a scrunch up skirt. So I wanted to make it a little bit more versatile for me to wear. So I decided that I would just add a little channel and a string on the side so I could scrunch it up when I want to and just leave it as a regular dress if I feel like wearing it that way. So this is the pattern that I ended up with. Feel free to screenshot it or, you know, just pause the video right here if you're interested in making the dress.
No idea why I said dress in a high-pitched voice like that, but yeah.
And I also made a separate pattern for the lining, but it's just a regular H-line pattern that I just shortened up a bit to where I wanted it to hit when I scrunch it up so it won't show when I walk around with the dress scrunch up. So I know that the Jaquemus dress is probably linen, but I decided that I would go for satin because I don't know, like I feel like it'll be easier. No, it's not. But if you want to make like the exact thing, go for linen. Also, if you're a beginner, go for linen. It's a lot easier to sew and run through the machine. Just a little PSA.
So after you cut your fabric, this is what you're gonna have. 2 of the top pattern, 2 halves of the back skirt pattern, 1 of the front pattern, 2 back halves of the lining, and also 1 front of the lining.
Also, I'm a little too lazy to make the channels and straps out of the actual fabric because I really don't want to measure up and cut it. I know. If you're making this for someone else or if you're making this professionally, I guess, don't use this method. But if you're making this for yourself or if you're practicing and doing this for fun like I'm doing, feel free to use this method. I know a lot of people, especially my grandma, would scream at the screen right now if she's watching this, but I use ribbons for the straps and the channels. You're also going to be needing a zipper. I use, I think, a 15-inch zipper. If you want to make it exact, I would suggest getting a longer zipper so that you can put it on the side from your waist all the way down to where you want it to stop. For the sewing, I actually separated the top and the skirt and then just finally put them together at the end. For the skirt, I started by sewing the darts in the lining, and then after that's done, I'm gonna put together the lining and the satin part by sewing the top of the skirt. But here's the thing, because the lining and the actual fabric is 2 different shapes of skirt. For the zipper, I finished the seam, but on like the sides, I leave about 2.5 inches because we're gonna have to sew the satin and the lining separately. And then after all that's done, I'm gonna sew in the zipper. I like to sew the zipper before I assemble the whole thing because for me it's just easier and it's like a flatter surface.
So this is basically the back piece. It's a little wrinkly, but it'll be fine once I iron it. It's the two back piece of the skirt connected to the zipper, also connected to the lining.
And then I'm just gonna sew the side of where the scrunch up part is gonna be. I'm just gonna be sewing the satin part. I'm gonna leave out the lining because I don't want the lining to get scrunched up too because the lining is there to avoid mishaps. So for the channel, I just take a little ribbon, measure it up on how long I want it to be. So exactly how long the sides of my skirt is. And I cut 2 of those and then I sew them right sides together just on one side. I zigzag stitch it. I try to not add any seam allowance, so I just zigzag stitch it as little as possible on the side. I open that up and I run it under my iron. We want it to be like a flat surface. I also iron the seam allowance on the side of my satin fabric so that it'll be easier to sew in the channel. Okay, so before we put in the channel, I hem the bottom of the skirt. Next step, I sew in the channel onto the dress. I started with the middle. I aligned the seam of the dress to the seam of the channel and I just sew down the middle. And then for the side, I just fold just a little bit and then I sew on top of that. And there you have a channel. Next up, the string. So basically what I did is I take the length of the ribbon that's supposed to be a little bit longer than the length of the skirt, fold it in half, and then I zigzag stitch the edge, like right at the edge so that it doesn't lose any more width. And then I invert it. And then for the end, so that it's not like a stray, you know, put a little bit of it in and then just top stitch that and then you have a string. And then after that, I just put the string into the channel using a safety pin. I align the top of the string with the skirt and then I stitch that. After all that's done, I'm gonna sew the lining. So you remember the part of the lining that I didn't sew onto the skirt, like the top part? I left a little bit out. So now I'm just gonna finally finish the top of the lining and then just put everything all together. And then for the other side, I just did the same thing but without the channel. So I sew the satin fabric and then I sew the lining. Let's move on to the top. I already marked where I want the fold to fall. I'm gonna try pin everything and then invert it, and then I want to see like how much of the string that I need. So I just like stick it onto the bodice and I just measure from here all the way to this spot right here, which is like the edge, and then like from that line right there all the way to the middle, and then we're gonna make 2 of each straps. After that's done, I just made the strap the same way as I made the string for the skirt. That's that. I'm gonna leave that be. And then now I'm just gonna be putting the top together. So I'm just gonna sew them right sides together with the string already attached. I'm just gonna sew the sides and the top, leaving the bottom open because we're just gonna hem it with the skirt later on.
Hi. So I'm popping in for a little bit because I forgot to say that I inverted the top before I mark where I want the fold, and then I top stitch that so it'll fold like nicely. That's it, yeah.
Probably in like the actual Jaquemus dress, like it's not top stitched the way I did it, but I feel like this is just a little bit easier for me to do. So I just sew the string onto the edge of the fold where I wanted it to be. I forgot to attach the string onto the side as I would, so what I did was I just ripped the seam and then I put the string back in, and then I top stitch every single thing. So I top stitch all the way from the sides up to here, and again the sides up to the fold. So now all you need to do is just attach the little strap bit in the back. So what I did was I seam ripped the ribbon where I want the strap thingy to be. Again, with the same method, I just put in the strap and I top stitched the whole strap, not leaving anything, so that it has like a cohesiveness. For the middle strap, there is a button detail. So what I did was I take a little bit of this, what is it called? Like a band, like a stretchy thing. What is it called? Oh my god, I'll just put it right here.
Elastics. It's called elastics. I meant to say elastics.
Just enough for a button to go through. And I fold it in half and I just like put it into the strap. The same method as I would with the other stuff that I put in the strap. So yeah, put it in and then top stitch that, and then I just top stitch the other side without putting any elastics. Oh my god. I just sew in a button by hand on the other strap. And that is basically the top. I'm actually quite happy with this. This is why I love doing backless dresses, because you just finish the top and then the bottom and then you just attach it at the end. So that's exactly what I did. I attached the top to the front side of the skirt.
Hello, good morning. I went ahead and run through the video to see if I missed anything. Turns out I did. I just want to say that after I attached the top and the bottom, I just folded the part where they're stitched together and rolled that and then top stitched that, just so that we don't have any raw edges or anything like that. So yeah.
And after that's done, you're done. That's it. That's how I make the dress. I'm really proud of this. I'm actually gonna wear this dress on my birthday because I tried it on last night and I feel really pretty. So a little compensation of not being able to celebrate it as I would the years before this. I need some social interaction and this dress is the closest thing I have to it. So yeah, I feel really happy about it. And if you do try and make it, send it to me through my DMs. I'll put everything down below. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy watching it, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up. I would very much so appreciate it, and subscribe to me and put on the bell notification if you want to. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week with a brand new video. Bye!